Ever wonder what your day would be like with Boom Radio? Yep, us too. We don't think about nightmares.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the Boom Bar on your Boom Radio NG. My name is Sola Rogers.
My name is Dolupo. Sorry, just trying to fix up some things. Okay, please can you continue?
Okay, so today at the bar we're going to be talking a lot of politics. Sorry, I'm off mic. Today at the bar we'll be talking a lot of politics and a little bit of sports eventually. Transfer market is still on, closes on the 31st of August in most places, and things are happening there. And the Nigerian, still talking sports, the Nigerian Sports Federation, so Athletics Federation, has put out a list, and it looks like a top star is not going to be a part of it. But the major talking points today is around taxation. It's funny enough, who's talking taxation? You know, so we are actually, and a lot of Nigerians are caught up in that. We'll be bringing you updates from Niger. There are things still going on in Niger. The coup, you know, is not going away anytime soon. The junta has dug in and they made some appointments here and there, and a whole lot of stuff is happening. We'll be bringing you updates about that. And of course, when I talk about taxation, we'll be talking about the committee that the President Bola Tinubu has set up. And the composition of that committee, not majorly the composition, but arguably maybe the youngest member of the committee has drawn some flack and some support. It depends on who you listen to or who you're reading about or reading from. So we'll be talking about these things right here at the bar and much more.
Okay, so sorry for that. So we're going to be talking, like he had said, there are a few things that we're going to be talking about today. And let's just get right into it, yeah? We're starting from President Tinubu's tax committee. He had announced this like about a month ago, and they officially now inaugurated them yesterday. That's exactly a month from what happened. So now, basically, there's been a lot of back and forth. Before we even go into the back and forth, who is who on that list, I feel that the first thing we should do is look at the list in itself. What exactly, who are the people that are on this list? So, there is a full list of committee members. They did not, according to the State House in Abuja, they did not mention most people's names on that list. But there is an idea of who is who that's going to be on this tax policy committee. Now, we know that the chairman, Taiwo Igedele, is on that committee. He's supposed to chair the committee. He is a top tax person at PwC. And we know that he had stepped down from his post to get right into this. And looking at President Tinubu's statement yesterday, they basically had gone on to tell them that there is a breakdown of a 1 month that they're supposed to implement quickly. There's another 6 months plan that they're supposed to bring out. Basically, all the work they have to do is in about a year. So they definitely have their work cut out for them. And the president is looking at how to bridge a 20 trillion naira tax gap. that's a lot of money.
Yeah, like I said, now we're talking taxation, and of course, one of the things that we need to really address is our perception or our beliefs about taxation. Why, to a large extent, we feel, that tax is something not to be discussed or followed up. But as it stands now, the 20 trillion gap is huge.
Yeah.
Because 20 trillion naira could make a world of difference in Nigeria at the moment. But again, the fear that people have about taxation is that, oh my God, they're going to bring new taxes. They're going to
I think that
they're
would
going
definitely
to squeeze,
there are a
people
few things
for what they have and all of that. But they have something to say about that. It's not
they definitely
exactly
do.
what it
So
is.
before we get into that, let's get right into the full list of committee members. As we
Right.
had said, Taiwo Edele is on that list as the chairman. There's going to be a representative of the tax practice, law, and accounting firms. I had no idea there was anything like that. Anyway, there's also members of the Tax Advisory Committee. There's the National Tax Policy Implementation Committee. These are representatives of those people, renowned fiscal policy and tax experts. There's a representative of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, also representative of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, representatives of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. National Accountants, Chartered Accountants. Okay, they're two different things. A representative of the Nigeria Bar Association. That's good. They definitely need to do things according to the law. Also, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, the Organized Private Sector of Nigeria, the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, Women in Business, representative of the Federal Ministry of Justice, also representative of the Federal Ministry of Finance, representative of Federal Ministry of Trade and Industry and Investment, representative of Telecoms and Digital Economy, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, the Tariff Technical Committee, the Nigerian Ports Authority, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency (NIMASA), the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, obviously, the Joint Tax Board, the Nigeria Customs Service, the representative of Association of Local Governments in Nigeria, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Committee, the Budget Office of Nigeria, the Accountant General of the Federation is on that committee, the National Bureau of Statistics, the Director General of the Nigeria Governors Forum, the Debt Management Office, the Chairman Finance Commissioners Forum, the Central Bank of Nigeria, student tax clubs, and partners and observers that we have, like the World Bank, the IMF, United Nations, Budget, Tax Justice, and Governance Platform.
What a long list, right? It's endless. It's an endless list of.
But you would agree that all these people, it's funny how when I first saw the list, I was like, oh, okay, this is a pretty long list. But by the time you go through the list, you cannot say that there's somebody that is out of place on that list.
Yeah, I get you. And the thing about the list for me is, at the tail end, you talked about observers and all, and you have some foreign bodies there. And the part of me is like, okay, why do they have to be a part of this and all of that? Then on the flip side, I know that African nations tend to go to these people for funds and support and everything.
They could bring in their own advice and all that towards it.
We don't want their advice. If we have this many people and they cannot come up with our own advice that is specific to our own, we don't need their advice. But like I was saying, Africans tend to go begging. You tend to go and say, yeah, okay, look at what we're doing. Can we get some funds and stuff? So, yeah, you want to show them that you're doing something great. So you put them in your committees as observers and stuff. All right, it's okay. Let's see how that will work well for us. I like the fact that budget is in it. That's a body that has been doing amazing in tracking expenditure, especially budgets that have been allocated either to, senators or politicians or even government agencies, when they claim that they've done something or they got money for stuff and they don't do it, budget is there. And when they do it, budget is also there. So a big shout out to them for being a part of this. I like the fact that, again, shows that the president is not afraid to, be tracked and monitored and kept, on their toes. That's one aspect of that list that I like. But, the most interesting part of it is the appointment of the president of the school tax associations. Apparently there is an association of school tax, students and all. So I never heard about it until last night, because there's a lady, Urire Agbaje, who, is now like a celebrity of sorts, being a member of a committee that's set up by the federal government. Yeah. And I liked the idea of bringing in someone who was a 400 level student. I liked that idea, the ripple effect that it would have.
It would have, yeah.
Yeah. Also knowing that, they didn't influence her election. She got in because she's the president of that club.
Yeah, that's why it was. It's part of what I was talking about when you see the list of the kind of people that were there. On the list that was released, all they said was that there was going to be a representative of the student tax clubs, the Nigerian student tax club. I didn't know there was anything like that. But so we cannot say for a fact, a lot of people have been going on and on and on about how, what does this person know?
They say, what experience does she have?
What experience does she have? That
experience, that word.
How do you gain experience if you don't get something done?
Is one of the most bastardized words in the world. And it's one of the biggest agenda-setting words. When they want to, lord it over you, they will say, oh, this person has experience. When they want to, remove you from certain things, you do not have experience and all of that. Now, the thing about this committee, if you look at how vast, it is, the DG of the Governors Forum is there, the House Committee Chair on Taxation, they're all there. Do you understand? The Federal Inland Revenue,
everybody
and they're all
is
there.
Inclusive, yes.
Debt Management
Local
Office,
government, everybody.
What that shows you is that the input of the students is also important.
It's important. Whether we like it or not,
and it is welcome.
If you buy commodities, there are taxes on these things. You pay these things. If there was nothing, if it wasn't important, I'm not sure there will be anything like a tax club. Yeah. I do not see why anybody feels that it is a wrong thing. I feel that people should even, hate or love President Tinubu, there is a deliberate inclusion. When you come, there was still last week we were talking about the ministerial list and the inclusion of younger people, inclusion of more women, even though I'm still not, it's better than it used to be. We're not where we are, but we're definitely not where we used to be. The inclusion of technocrats that have nothing to do with governance or politics that are in his ministerial list. The inclusion of people that seem to even be his people that I don't want to say attack, more like his critics that are part of this ministerial list as well. I think there's a level of inclusion that we actually need to we appreciate the president for. And who would have thought that a student would also be part of this thing? And then she's a lady, for example. I'm sorry. If you think there's something wrong with it, you can shove it up.
Okay. Beep, 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 beep. Thank you.
Somewhere.
Thank you. So the committee's target, of course, is to restructure Nigeria's taxation structure entirely, like rearrange it. But I have listened to the chairman of that committee. I've read a lot about him in recent times, and I looked at how they plan to achieve it.
Before we get to that point quickly, there's a story that I saw earlier where the AAC presidential candidate, Omoyele Sowore, has anyway found a way to, throw jabs at the president and politicians, but also praising the president in the way of appointing the US student. He was talking about how in an era where people are looking for their results, or if they're not, they're looking for the school they went to and all that why do people hate good things? Then you have a problem with the fact that someone's pedigree, she's in school, all these things, and you still have something bad to say about it.
I don't see that statement as any form of praise for the president. It's more of him using that to capitalize, on it to basically diss the president. At least this one, they know our classmates and they know our results. There's a lot of controversy around Mr. President's educational background and everything. He's done several things to explain, but of course, it's not going anywhere. Maybe until after this judgment at the courts, then people might take it whatever way, either for or against him. So what Sowore did was to hit at him and hit at other politicians, especially how everybody's been going on about the immediate past governor of Zamfara, Matawale, who attended his school sats instead of his university degrees and any of those other qualifications that he has. So that was Sowore really being sly there, and he was like hitting hard at them. No praises at all for the president. He just used that opportunity to hit at him.
Yeah, anyway, but at the end of the day, somebody decided to do something. It's a new thing that we don't see those kind of things a lot in the Nigeria of today, but I think we're getting past that little by little. Anyway, we were now still talking about this tax committee. The chairman of that committee has now had a few things to say.
Yeah.
Today, while having an interview, first thing was talking about how the immediate thing that one of the things that the federal government needs to do is to suspend the VAT on AGO, that the automotive gas oil, that's what we know as diesel. Honestly, until they mentioned it, I think a few weeks ago, I didn't know there was VAT on it. No matter how expensive or inexpensive it is, we know that tax is 7.5%. So a 7.5 reduction in the price, whether we like it or not, it might not be a lot, but this 5 nairas, 10 nairas, 20 nairas here and there, is until you buy plenty, then you now realize the amount of money you are actually saving.
True. Every savings or every reduction in expenditure is welcome at a time like this, where things are really, really crazy with the cost of fuel, and of course AGO is definitely fuel, and it actually powers Nigeria more. If you look at it, most of the industries have big generators, and the trains are run majorly by AGO, and the big trucks, the trailers, the haulage, value chain and all of that, they're majorly run by AGO. So 7.5 reduction is a big deal. Virtually everything is taxed, and multiple taxation still remains the bane of Nigeria. Like, you're paying a tax on something, because again, at times we don't understand that we're paying more than one tax, especially when, like, the entertainment tax and all of that, or there's this other consumption tax that you pay. You're paying consumption tax, you're paying VAT, Yeah, we get all of that, and at times it's actually tiring. So I hope that these people would look into it and streamline it and know that they can still raise money, because like I was saying, and I really wanted to put it out just to put people's minds at rest. So what they're saying is that they're not going to create new taxes. Rather than create new taxes, they're even going to stop some, but they're going to now increase the generation
places
drive.
Is more of
you get
places that were not paying tax, or
the so-called elite and the middle class. are guilty of not paying taxes.
Yeah,
and they don't pay the right value, of taxes.
It is in those things. And where he was now talking, it was through this interview where he was also now talking about how there are about 62 to 63 MDAs that are revenue generating, but it is not in their place to collect taxes, which they will not collect it efficiently, that everybody from the customs to everybody possible collect taxes. What the NCC, what you're supposed to do is to regulate telecommunication. The customs is border control and, trade facilitation and all that. Like he was talking about, focus on that. All your taxes and all that revenue that you're supposed to get, everybody pays it directly to the FIRS. It is what the FIRS does. Let the FIRS do their jobs. Yeah. And you focus on your own.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea where, it's centralized. Mm-hmm. The revenue generation is centralized. It makes for easier logistics because, again, it is pointed out, according to him and the experts out there, that Nigeria's revenue collection is one of the highest in the world.
Yeah.
Like the cost of collecting the revenue is very high.
The actual amount is actually very low.
Yeah. So in centralizing it, what it also means is that the FIRS will have to increase its capacity.
I was going to say, so that doesn't that increase the capacity, because this is going to be the same set of people doing those jobs, because it also means maybe not, that the FIRS now has to have like different divisions of maybe the customs collecting revenue for the customs, collecting revenue for the NCC, every single person.
Yeah, collecting for Nigeria because all of them are supposed to remit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
it
kind of looks like it is a lot more, maybe a lot more people that have to go into the work of the FIRS. But doesn't that also mean that, places like the accounts section and revenue collection in those MDAs, doesn't that mean those places are going to be shut down?
No.
Aren't people going to lose their jobs?
Like he has pointed out, what it is that for everybody that works in customs, it is assumed that they are custom officers, they are trained and all of that, so they can focus on their primary assignment, which is actually not a bad thing. For the communications people, let them focus on the other mandates that they have, except revenue generation. Now, I know that to a large extent, they've been able to tackle corruption in some of these places with the introduction of the TSA, the Treasury Single Account, which means that, funds are supposed to go to a side. But you would find that, corruption does not sleep. They've been looking for ways.
Yeah, I know. A few weeks ago, we're talking about, there was news of how they found people that actually said getting how they manipulated the system with the IPPIS, and you just wonder, like, when are you people going to stop?
Does not sleep.
When are you people really going to stop?
A lot of people go into government, and they are not even necessarily politicians. They are more of a career. They are more of career civil servants and all of that, and they work in these MDAs, and that is what they're about, looking for loopholes in the system. There's a scandal that we have not really talked about at the bar, and I think very soon we should be looking at it with the Federal Commission's
the Federal Character Commission, the FCC. Why I feel that we've just been doing that a little, because looks like every day there's some new updates to it and all that. So
anyways, we will definitely have to get to it, and it's still part of the corruption in the civil service and in the system of governance. So what made me bring that up is the same thing that transpires in a lot of these MDAs, in a lot of these ministries and all these places that are supposed to be collecting revenue, because at the end of the day, there's always a loophole. So maybe we should focus everything into one center, and at least if there's a loophole,
then you know where exactly. It's not that you should be tackling 20, 30, 40 different ones at the same time. I totally agree with that. Anyway, let's move on from that quickly, and let's go to the Senate, Where today, yesterday the Senate had, we know that the Senate had transmitted 45 out of 48 ministerial nominees that they've confirmed to the presidency. They're talking about the remaining 3 that there were a bit of security checks that have not been completed. And there was talks of the Senate spokesperson talking about how they probably might call them for another screening. We'll get to that. But also, as we speak, the news broke that one of them, who's the former governor of Kaduna State, Governor El Rufai, is in a meeting with the president and the former governor of Rivers State. So, we'll see where all that drama will go. But still talking about the Senate, news broke yesterday. Oh, there was a video. Let me put it out there. There was a video where the Senate president had said that in order to enable us to enjoy our holidays, a token has been sent to our various accounts by the clerk of the National Assembly. That was when his colleagues alerted him that the plenary session was still being streamed live. And he said that I withdraw the statement in order to allow, the Senate president said, prayers to your mailboxes to assist you on a safe journey and return. We know that they're going on recess. I think they're coming back on September 26th or something. I see a lot of people, celebrities, everybody going on about this matter. And a friend of mine sent it to me and I'm like, what do I think? And I said that I do not know why people get triggered by these things. And she was like, why? I was like, because whether they are only being triggered because you heard it. Whether that video happened or not, it was going to happen. It has been happening for years. It will continue to happen. Except they change the laws, which they probably would not. It has always happened. And it will probably always happen. So because you heard it doesn't make it a new thing. And we should stop maybe yelling about it. I'm sorry. Maybe that's the way I see it. Like, I don't feel that it's such a relevant topic. The only issue there was because you heard it. It was on video. And that's it. It doesn't mean that money, because you heard it, that money is not still going to be shared. It doesn't mean that to next month or whatever, if there's another money or another allowance that they're going to pay, they're not going to pay it to them. It will not stop it. So maybe we should not expend so much energy in something we cannot control. That's my own opinion.
All right. Your opinion, which I do not agree with completely. To me, your statement is you saying, okay, this is the reality.
Yeah.
But I feel that the Nigerian Senate is completely insensitive. The leadership of the Senate and even the members, because they are proven to be what the people say they are, politicians. Politicians make promises. Politicians say insensitive things. Politicians flatter to deceive, and they just play to the gallery. And that's what they've done.
Yeah.
So I think that it is high time we raised our voices against everything that we feel is wrong. We cannot continue to say, because they will do it behind closed doors or not, that we're going to keep quiet. That means we support it. So we cannot support such things. People are going through it at the moment. A lot of it because I feel it's a transition for us between the subsidy removal, the floating of the dollar or naira, whichever one you want to call it. They're both floating somewhere. And it's scary. Then, of course, all the ripple effects from these policies. However, it is a reflection of how politicians are insensitive, and I feel it's extremely disgraceful. Now, smart Senate president, he quickly, turned it into a joke again. I like him. He has jokes. I think he's a very funny man. But Nigerians should not get tired of actually speaking their minds against these things, because eventually we will have our way regardless. They would not pass laws against themselves, we know. But the last election has shown them that power actually belongs to the people. You saw some of them beg. And you saw how some of them did not return. Over 70% of the people in the 9th Assembly did not return. And some of them had made it their bread and butter. That's what they do all their lives. They work, as legislators at the federal and state level. The people have the power. The people should not keep quiet about it. They need to get these knocks. And the people also must screen whom they support. One day, we will get people who will be able to restructure Nigeria properly, even if it doesn't pay them personally. These are the things that we want, and it's so disgraceful and shameful that they're just going to take these monies and go and flex, while Nigerians will continue to,
sadly, they will.
to bicker and suffer.
Anyway, moving on from that and talking about someone else, one of SR's very good friends, the suspended CBN. Why do I feel that I probably will get beaten one of these days because of... Anyway, the suspended CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, has now asked the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos to stop the federal government from further prosecuting him on the charge of illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition, or any other charge for that matter. He's also seeking an order of the court discharging him of all his offenses. I have a question. Why do you have to go to another court if you're innocent? Why not just prove your case in court and...
Let it be on record that Mr. Emefiele's policies showed us pepper.
Shege.
And
Shege Banza.
a lot of Nigerians have not recovered from it. That's the truth. Mr. Emefiele, see, I called your name properly this time. I think you're not a good person. And I think that you're trying to use the courts, the instrumentality of the courts, to wiggle your way out of these crimes that you have committed, allegedly committed.
Basically, crimes against humanity.
Now, let it also be on record that I, as a Nigerian, now have doubts in the people who are prosecuting him. It's possible that someone somewhere wants to bungle this case, because really and truly, they were not going to charge him to court yet until more or less their arms were forced, and they said, okay, charge him to court, and they now charge him to court for something about arms possession, and we get that. But the real things that Nigerians are concerned about is, did he or did he not steal Nigeria's money?
But that one, they're not charging him to court.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Did he or did he not involve himself in insider trading and other things that Nigerians have heard about, have read about?
Stories of alleged terrorism, funding.
Did he or did he not commit any of these crimes? Because it might be a tactical or technical thing on the part of the legal arm of the DSS. It might be. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, it's not instilling any confidence in someone like me. And it will not be fair that you have now given this small case that you put forward, you have now given him the impetus to want to, scatter the real issues when you are finally ready. We must look for a way to also empower our law enforcement people and their legal departments with the very best of equipment and of brains, so that when they bring a case, it is watertight, is airtight, is everything tight. Then
I agree.
The judiciary must be encouraged to continue to dispense justice without any fear of favor. They must be able to instill confidence in everybody, from the accused to the accuser. So these are the issues. But in a country where someone went to court a few years ago to get an injunction to stop anybody, there's a perpetual injunction that stops a former governor of one state that shall remain nameless, because I don't get backup, reach that level, to stop anybody from suing him or investigating or prosecuting. Anything can happen.
Anyway, moving on from that quickly. The story where this is from the police. So the story this morning that we first saw was that the Lagos State Police Command had arrested a 10-year-old girl for being in possession of hard drugs. So around Agege, this is around Agege, where I think that this lady, she was seen, not a lady, this girl was seen, and then she was not in a very good state. And then she was taken to the police station, and according to the police, the story was that she was asked to,
go clean up
take herself, take a shower and all that. And it was in that process that drugs were found on her.
Yeah, 10-year-old.
10-year-old. And of course, when I first saw this story, I'm like, well, how are they arresting a 10-year-old? This doesn't add up. Like, there's something else to this matter. And of course, there definitely was something else to this matter. As the police has now arrested someone that is supposed to be her aunt in the pressing of Taiwo Abbas, a 44-year-old woman who is alleged to have been using this 10-year-old niece as a drug courier.
Yeah. In today's episode of Ayema Nikao,
unfortunate people, but unfortunately,
for the non-Yoruba speaking people, it's a jocular way of saying that, oh man, people are actually evil.
Unfortunate list.
You
10-year-old girl.
You actually went to your hometown, to your own sister, to get a child, to say, oh, I'm going to help you train your child in the city. You bring the girl to the city and make her a drug mule. And you told her, don't worry, nobody's going to search you. So she ferries drugs from the home to the shop. And in whatever she claims to be selling in that shop, she sells drugs too. And people patronize her. And these are the real issues here. A 10-year-old. Because again, it hurts me every time they say she was arrested. When they use the word arrest, I feel very strange, very funny. Like,
but the funny thing is that she wasn't even arrested.
Exactly. That's why I'm raising the point.
The police were actually looking out for a 10-year-old girl.
That's why I'm raising it. That the media needs to be careful in their choice of words. You can't even arrest a 10-year-old. Do you understand? Except they've actually committed a crime. Now, this girl was not looking kept, and maybe they felt that, look, let's investigate. And of course, in the process of trying to
look
help
for
her
parents. Why is this girl on the road? And all that.
So I want to say kudos to the policemen and women who were involved in this drug bust.
I'm happy that the person involved really has actually been arrested.
How do you turn a 10-year-old into a mule, a drug mule?
People are
10-year-olds.
They are just unfortunate.
10.
The level
how do you
of
do that?
unfortunacy in people's minds or in people's...
How do you do that?
Let me just be quiet.
That's the height of it, isn't it? 10-year-old drug carrier.
Anyway, quickly, resident doctors in Nigeria that have been on strike for a while have now said that they're suspending their protest. There was supposed to be a protest in a few days' time. They're suspending the protest, and they're giving the federal government a 72-hour ultimatum to meet their demands, but they say that they're continuing their strike. They're just not protesting.
Yeah, the government has been reaching out to them and telling them
the
that
Senate also
that
had a meeting with them.
That people are dying and people are suffering, that the doctors should please return to work and everything. I do not support a doctor's strike, especially one that has lasted for this long. But I support the voice of the doctors, and they need to listen to them. They have put so much on the line for us as a people. And they are the ones who are patriotic, who have stayed back when more than half of their colleagues have, jetted out of Nigeria to pastures green. So, if we're really going to be real about this, there should be some, even if it's an executive order that the president can sign, there should be some things that can be done to quickly respond
to
the demands of the doctors.
Yes, I agree.
These guys deserve what they're asking for. They're not asking for too much. Government after government comes and makes promises and agrees after some form of negotiation has been done, and they either don't carry it out at all, or they just pick or nitpick one or two things and say, okay, this is what we've done, and you should live with that. I don't think it's fair on the Nigerian doctors, and I think it's time to listen to them. Quick.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Before we move on to entertainment and sports stories, there's a story that popped up of the Labour Party Lagos State governorship candidate, Gbadebo Road. He has now said that to dismiss his petition at the tribunal would be an endorsement of unconstitutionality.
Yeah, that's his own response to a call by one of the people that have been petitioned. I think that's the governor of Lagos State. That this case should be,
I feel that everybody should just calm down. Like, I think that they're putting a lot of pressure on the judiciary. Everybody thinks that their case. I do not think that the Lagos State governor or his lawyers are in a place to categorically say a case should be thrown out. And in the same vein, I do not think Gbadebo Road also should say that to dismiss his petition. So means that what you're saying is that if the thing does not go in your favor, which it could not, anything is possible. If it doesn't go in your favor, then it's a wrong judgment.
There's something that you said, maybe you probably didn't dwell on it, but maybe you should. Putting the judiciary under pressure. There are people who actually believe that that's what they need to do to get judgment, or not judgment now, sorry, to get the judgment that they want.
I think it's wrong.
Some people have been running a campaign like that.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for months now.
Unfortunate human being post a picture of a judge and his grandchildren on Twitter, and I'm like, I'm lost.
Yes.
How dumb could you get?
Exactly, and because the person lives outside Nigeria. I think he lives in Milan or something. So he feels that, look, there's nothing you can do to me. I don't live in your country, even if I am from your country. So I can write anything and post anything and support who I want to support. There's nothing that's going to happen and all of that. But I think it's completely unfair on the judiciary for you to, go that far.
I think unfair is even being nice. It's just criminal.
I've seen a press statement by a former judge, in Nigeria, Mary Odili. She put out, media team put out a press statement a few hours ago, talking about an allegation that was made by a guy that we were discussing, one of the people who had alleged that former governor of Lagos and former minister Tunde Fashola is writing judgments for the judges at the Supreme Court and the presidential tribunal. Now, same guy has gone ahead to now say that the former justice or retired justice Odili is the liaison or the go-to person for the president, and she's the one that's more or less like consulting, to make sure that the judges. Yeah, so that's why they're picking on her now. That the judges, she's going to be the one to get judgment or whatever that the president wants. Now, people have responded and they've asked for a retraction of that statement, and they've also reported to the police.
Oh yeah,
and all of that, and they're
people
going to work on it.
People need to go to jail for the gibberish that that comes out of their mouth.
You call it gibberish? Gibberish is actually a good thing. This is worse than gibberish, because this is you tarnishing people's images.
People's images is wrong.
It's just because you say so, and people must take it. No proof, nothing.
I think it's completely wrong. Anyway, quickly, let's move on from that. As let's go on, take a bit of updates from Niger Republic, as Niger Republic has now unveiled the new national anthem.
Yeah, not only have they unveiled the new, they said the national anthem is going to bring unity and fight against terrorism and all of that.
A song.
Then, not only that, they have also appointed someone as their prime minister.
Yeah, they have a new prime minister now. We also know that AU, UN, ECOWAS delegation were supposed to be in Niger yesterday. They had the junta had declined their invitation. They had told them that for security reasons they were not going to see anybody for now. Also, today now, Nigeria has now ordered fresh sanctions, financial sanctions on Niger Republic. But they have widened the net not just on Niger Republic now. They have moved to Mali and Burkina Faso through the CBN. So it looks like Nigeria's CBN has a lot of these people's monies.
Yeah, and again, even Nigerians who are related to them, if you are, transacting business with them, you're most likely going to be affected by,
you're going to be
this
affected,
new round of sanctions. Now, this is the same thing that the junta had claimed that, it's the sanctions and stuff that's going to make it unsafe for, people to come through. But if you look at it, I like I said, I don't want a military intervention in Niger, but every attempt at negotiation or sitting down with them has been rebuffed.
I think that they're really pushing
this is the fourth time that ECOWAS, is reaching out to the junta, and this is the fourth time they are pushing back and saying they're not interested, while they carry on with, their own agenda and their own plans.
Yeah.
What this basically infers is that they have dug in.
They're spoiling for a war.
And they're not going to listen to anything until, they achieve what they set out to achieve. Because now
they think they have
a prime minister.
Maybe because they think they have enough firepower. Maybe they should just go ahead.
We've also seen that the U.S. has withdrawn $100 million aid that they were supposed to get. And again, the same junta refused to sit down with the representative of the U.S. when she went to try to see them. And there's a video I've seen of the deposed, we can say that now, President Bazoum being escorted out of a building, and there were like 6 armed guards around him, and I saw him, walking slightly with his head bowed at some point. At some point, he raised his head up, and he's walking out of some place. And the person who posted it claims that, this is him being led out after being asked to resign, because that was one of the things that they had asked him to do that he had refused all along. Still staying with the Niger Coup. Now, another video has emerged of a group now calling themselves the CRR, and they're saying that they're going to fight against this junta. They are supporters of President Bazoum, and they're trying to prove to the world that not everybody supports the coup.
It.
Not every Nigerian.
I saw a video of so-called Prime Minister of IPOB. I don't know if you saw that video.
Nah, it's too funny to discuss.
Am I the only one? He seemed to be in a paintball costume. But talking about how if Niger is going to be fighting Nigeria from the north, they will be fighting Nigeria from the east, and with their Nigerian brothers and all that. I'm like, okay.
All right, so of course, those are some of the things that's happening in and around the Niger coup. And the way it is now, tomorrow, there's going to be a meeting of the ECOWAS heads of state.
Yeah,
it's a meeting that the whole world will be looking at to see if they're going to escalate or
exactly.
not. I still stand by my plea that let there not be any military intervention, because of the innocent people and the close proximity to Nigeria. There are 7 Nigerian states that share a common border with Niger. Not only that, now, from the look of things, there are also stories of how the U.S. is also ramping up its interest there, and there might be some kind of military intervention. Now, the group that I mentioned, if they are really serious and they actually step up their game, what I see playing out is that they're going to get equipped. Some people will give
Somebody's
them.
Gonna,
and what does that mean? That's civil war. That goes
Oh yeah, that's definitely
from a military intervention by the regional body to
that looks like definition of Afghanistan, Iran drama all over again. We see all that Libya issues. I think that this, for the sake of peace, I don't know, this junta needs to have sense because it's not even looking good for them. But anyway, I'm sure they have plans and we'll see where all that goes into. Now let's move on to a little bit to entertainment before we leave. A Nigerian skit maker, Josh Trufoni, had seems to have made it to America's Got Talent, where he definitely showed his talent and was chased off 3 times.
Yeah. Very interesting video, 9 minutes long, 9 minutes and 18 seconds to tell about. Actually posted by the official handle of America's Got Talent.
Got Talent, yeah.
And it's also on their YouTube. You want to watch it, just go search for it, And it's extremely hilarious. Like, it's stuff that's going to have you... I was in pain when I was laughing, like, what's wrong with this guy? It was extremely funny. Now, this is the 18th season of America's Got Talent. And I've been watching it off and on for that long. I don't watch it religiously like I used to, but I still try to catch snippets and stuff like that when I can. I don't think that Josh was a real contender or someone who had entered the auditions. I think that based on the fact that he was allowed to come out 3 times, which has never happened on the show, it was taken in as some kind of
comic relief,
and all of that, comic relief and whatever, and it worked because it's got people laughing, it's got people talking. Josh became funny globally, especially in America, when something that he used to play with, the late South Sultan, became a big deal. Don't leave me. Like, there's this joke when he said, it's like a play upon words and a tongue twister, and before you know it, even the CNN and other major were actually carrying it, and that's how Josh actually became prominent in America. People started looking at him, oh, this guy is funny and all of that. There are 1 or 2 trends that he has pushed like that. So I think off the back of that, this has led to something. But that's just my own opinion. In days to come, we'll get a clearer picture because there's no contender that is allowed to come out 3 times. This guy is crazy. He also more or less poked fun at the American rappers when he was doing. They said he was a speed writer.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Speed reader.
I personally.
But Josh is funny.
Yeah, I
officially,
think
Josh is too funny.
Anyway, let's move on from that quickly. Also, there's an American rapper that actually got 10 years in prison now, Tory Lanez. Sorry, British rapper. I think he's actually British. He's
Canadian, right?
Canadian, sorry. Why am I mixing it up? Canadian rapper Tory Lanez for actually shooting another rapper, Meg Thee Stallion. Sad, that you would have. If I read a part of a statement where she had said that she was offered $1 million for her not to report the matter. Anyway.
I don't think that the way these guys play with guns and stuff at times, but if you do the crime, you must do the time. It might get off on good behavior. I don't know, because this guy's an amazing talent.
Well, we're not going to excuse.
We're not going to excuse your talent for this despicable act. What if she had died?
It's going to jail, definitely. But I'm sure going to jail is not a new thing when it comes to all these people and the kind of things they do. Anyway, let's move on quickly and do a little bit of sports before we go. Still talking about the FIFA Women's World Cup. It is now official. Niger, or more like African teams, are out of the Women's World Cup now. It is sad.
Very sad. We saw it coming. We were hoping that Morocco would at least make it through.
Yeah, Morocco defeated France defeated Morocco 4-0. Colombia defeated Jamaica 1-0. Australia defeated Denmark 2-0. We know that England and Nigeria ended in penalties 4-2. Sweden and United States 5-4. That we had talked about. Now, officially, the quarterfinals, they're going into the quarterfinals, and it is starting on Friday. Spain and Netherlands is playing on Friday. Also, Japan and Sweden will be playing that. Then there's going to be Australia, France. That is a game you need to you see. Then England, Colombia. We will see how these games are going to pan out.
Right.
But it has been there's been a very, very interesting set of games generally at the FIFA Women's World Cup. Now, also, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria has now released the list for the World Championships, and Tobi Amusan is not on this list. And a lot of people might be wondering, and the only explanation is that there is still an investigation ongoing about some doping. There is she's still under suspension. So it's sad. It's really, really sad. But I really hope she comes out of this at the other side clean, and there's a perfect explanation for all the things that happened.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Also, yesterday evening there was news that Anthony Joshua is now going to be playing this Saturday. He's going to be fighting. Sorry, he's going to be fighting this Saturday. It's another game that you need to check. We know that he was supposed to fight with Dillian White. There was also a doping issue somewhere in between that, but he's still going to be fighting this Saturday with Elenius. Still in the United
AJ needs to be careful because the last time this happened and he was going to fight someone else.
Yeah,
and
that
the
was
person,
Ruiz.
He ended up losing his belts and stuff. So please, at times you just need to, if the fight is not happening, Bobo,
You should have just let
take your time and fight this new person, at the right time, because you've been training to fight a particular
person.
Guy, you can't afford to be losing again, because we were rooting for you. So I know that it's business and they need to pull off that fight. People have bought tickets and all of that, but it didn't work the last time. I was worried. I don't want to be worried again.
You seem to be worried again. Finally, West Ham has now reached a verbal agreement to sign Manchester United's Harry Maguire. I know a lot of people that will be happy.
Harry Maguire has become an image of scorn and disdain. A lot of people look down on him. Harry Maguire, is not the bad player that they make him out to be. Yes, he's had a bad season, but if you look at his earlier time at the club, he's done well for them. Came in as the most expensive defender at that time, and if they're able to get £30 million for him, I think it's a good one for them. They're also looking at selling off McTominay to the same West Ham. West Ham had been slow in the market; they were not buying, and they were the only club that had not been able to buy. Now they're buying, buy. So it might be a good move for Maguire. And again, as soon as Maguire leaves Man United, we'll be bringing in 2 or 3 other players to shore up, their defense, the midfield, and possibly their attack.
Everybody needs to. And, everybody seems to need to buy.
Arsenal have gotten their target, their goalkeeper Raya. They got him around this time yesterday. What happens to Ramsdale? Is it?
I think he's still a fantastic keeper, though.
That's what I'm saying. What happens? Because Raya is coming in. Are they going to now, be alternating between both of them?
Maybe they do. Maybe they need to do it. They're going to be playing more games this season, so.
I don't know.
They're going to play Champions League. They definitely.
I'll see how Arteta is going to.
It was what we were talking about, that they need to show up.
Yeah, but again, it's good when you have a solid number one and a solid backup. But Raya is not coming in like he wants to be backup. Raya is coming in like, look, me and you, 1-on-1. That's what it is.
Maybe.
So competition also brings out the best in people.
Yeah, everybody needs to step up their game. But the headache is for Arteta. Okay. And on that note, that is all we'll be able to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you very, very much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you a wonderful edition of The Bar. There are already songs popping up on Wednesday.
Yeah, I already listened to Olamide's entire album.
But that will push all that to Friday, and do not miss that.
Gaza.